Hi there, it's Tom here from Andertons. I'm here with Ian from Korg, and we're going to have a look at the new Korg Minilogue synth. Hi Ian.
Hi.
Okay.
Right, so here we have it, the much talked about Minilogue, which is here in its full glory. So let me tell you a little bit about the Minilogue.
Great.
The Minilogue is a 4-voice polyphonic analog synth. The synth structure is fairly straightforward and familiar, but we've also added a few of our own unique functions just to give it a little bit of something new for our customers and new customers hopefully. So what we have, moving from left to right, we've got a 2 oscillator structure. There's 3 waveform choices, and there is a wave shape control. Now what the wave shaper does, depending on which waveform you've got selected, it will add harmonics, or it will change the pulse width if you're using the square wave type of thing. There's a possibility to synchronize the 2 oscillators or cross modulation, and there's also a ring modulation control. Mm-hmm. Moving along from that, there's the mixer for each of the oscillators, and also there's a noise that can be included. Then we've got the filter in the middle, which has got a large cut-off control, resonance, EG intensity, a switch for 4-pole, 2-pole, key track and velocity, so that the filter can respond to key velocity.
Great.
Then you've got 2 EGs, the AmpEG, the filter, the LFO, and then finally the last section we've got the delay, the OLED display, which serves several purposes, and then you've got the voice mode buttons and sequencer controls and the simple edit buttons there.
So it looks like there's really a lot of tonal shaping possibilities just on the oscillator there, because you've got, you've got the ability to have pulse width modulation going on oscillator 1, and then you can have, you can have a D-tune with a saw wave with some sort of shaping going on there, and then have them synced and cross mod and all this. So it's, just with the oscillator, it seems like there's loads of tones you can come up with.
It does. Yeah, it gives you the possibility of being able to create some quite complex waveforms. And by adding to that modulation from the LFO, you can modulate the shape, so the sound could be animated and moving. So it does make it very flexible.
Great, yeah. It seems like the really kind of thing that a lot of people have been crying out for ages is so it's a real a 4-voice VCO.
A 4-voice analog polyphonic synth, yeah, and it is there is an analog signal path right the way through.
Yeah, great.
So the other thing that that's quite interesting about this product is the display, in that as I was saying, it serves several purposes. So when you're actually playing the sounds, if I start a sequence running, you'll see that it's displaying a waveform, and when I change the sound, so change the filter, you can see that changing. And the beauty of that is that you can hear what's going on, as well as see what's going on with the sound. So if you're learning about synthesis, you can see the kind of effect that it actually has on the oscillators as the signal is passing through the synth engine. Sure.
Really gives you the association there between a spiky waveform gives you a lot of top end, and you can see how sharp the waveform is almost, and it builds that association with okay, this is rounding it off. That's giving me less top end in there. So
that's right.
Great educational tool. Yeah.
Okay, the other thing that's different about this is that we've got these different voice modes. Now we've got 8 different voice modes. We've got poly mode, which is it speaks for itself basically. It allows you to play up to 4 notes at one time. There's duo mode, which will stack 2 oscillators together, and then it gives you 2-note polyphony. Mm-hmm. Unison mode, where they're all stacked on top of each other. Mono mode, where it's just one oscillator being played. Chord mode, what chord mode does is when you press one note, it will play a chord, which is quite self-explanatory. But when I use the voice mode,
great. You can choose different types of chords. Yeah,
that's right. When I'm in unison mode, detune. Mm-hmm. Mono mode brings in a sub-oscillator. Duo mode, detune. Poly mode, if I hold down the chord,
that gives you inversions.
Different inversions.
Wow, amazing.
When you go into delay mode, it's to do time. Arpeggio, that just changes the different mode at which the arpeggio works. And then sidechain, as I was alluding to.
Oh, okay, sure. So in a way, that's kind of like giving you the behaviour of a monosynth, where you'd hold down one note and then you can play the top and it will revert down to the bottom note. But you can do it with a chord.
You can do that, but you've got a bit of control over the volume of the different notes that are sounding.
Sure, yeah.
Another nice feature in this section is the delay. So if I start the sequencer running. So what I've got is a control here that allows me to route where the high pass cutoff is set. So I can roll it right off if it's at the post filter. If I put it in pre-filter, I can just roll off the delayed signal. When I go between the modes, you can see the display showing the routing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Or you can put it into bypass mode. I've come onto the sequencer almost by accident, but while I'm got this running, each of the programs has its own sequence, and the sequence is a 16-step sequencer. You can freely program that. It's got some of the similar behaviours of the Volcas, so you can do things like sync it to Volcas using the sync control, or the Electribes, or any of our products that have that sync control, or any other modular stuff that's able to work on that format.
So just on the polyphonic mode on the sequencer, just in terms of the mechanics of it, how do you sequence chords? How are the chords input into the sequencer in poly mode?
Well, you'd have to select your mode if you wanted to play chords into it. You'd have to select the appropriate mode, or if it was chord mode, hit play and record, and then input your information. While the sequence is playing, you can change the modes. So if you've recorded a sequence which is polyphonic, and then you put it into mono mode, it's then going to just play whatever note it can.
The sequencer itself is polyphonic, isn't it? We'll store more than one note per step. Yeah,
that's right.
Cool.
So I'm just going to try and find it. So you've got a chord type of sequence there. Here, that is a polyphonic sound.
Sure, yeah.
So you've got a polyphonic sequence running there.
Yeah, nice one, yeah.
There are 200 program locations, so it's got patch memories. There's 99 that are pre-programmed, and then there's 100 that are available for people to set their own sounds.
Presets, great.
They're all overwritable. They're not sort of fixed or preset, but it just means that there's a good selection of sounds already, and space for people to make their own sounds without worrying about losing anything.
Well, should we just have a little listen to some of the maybe raw waveforms? I think there was an initialized preset, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So should we just have a listen to the saw wave and the square wave and see what we can...
Okay. So what I can do is, if you want to find an initial sound, you can just dial in it program and then.
Sure. Yeah. Great. So what have we got? So what
we've got going on here? If I
just
turn down. You can hear just VCO1, and that's on a sawtooth, and the OLED is displaying it nicely. Then we've got a triangle wave, and then pulse wave.
Cool.
Now within the sawtooth, if I bring up the shape control a little bit, you can see it introducing some harmonics, and you can hear.
I wonder what's actually doing there. It actually seems to be pushing it somewhere towards square, so it's adding the harmonics that are missing from it.
I think by summing the harmonics, what it does is it's not squaring it off. It is just the harmonics will cause that to happen. And if I do the same with the sawtooth, triangle, you see it's adding more harmonics.
Really nice, yeah. Almost like wavetable, isn't it? It's
in a way, yes. And then when I go onto square wave, it varies the pulse width.
And when it varies it to nothing, that's really cool, because a lot of sense you think you sweep the pulse width all the way, and you think I swear that's like 75%. Where's the rest of it?
This will go 100%.
That's great. That's
to
really
the point where it's just coming in.
Great. Lovely.
Okay, and then within that, if we bring in.
Can we just the pitch control there? So how is that sort of scaled? So is it just in sense the whole way up?
Yeah, you got.
Okay, sure. So, but I mean, so that's an octave, isn't it?
Yeah,
in sense. So
just make sure the same octave. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of scope there to play different intervals.
Yes.
And
Now,
so can we play the filter? Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll play the filter. So. That's the 4-pole mode, and then if I put it into 2-pole mode.
And will it? But I mean, can we just play the resonance? Does that give us a? How will it tracks there? Ooh. Seems to be. Seems to track really well in 4-pole mode, and then in 2-pole you get some quite interesting behaviour there on the filter tracking.
There is another thing that I see a lot of people talking about build quality and things like that. Sure. So with the construction of this, the engineers were very much focused on sound as well as the thing feeling solid, and I can be a bit sacrilegious here and show that the pots are metal shaft.
Sure.
And they are very sturdy, and they are bolted down onto a sub-assembly, so it feels very, very solid. Now I've got to get that right. Spot on. There we go.
Because a lot of them, some synths come out these days, and the knobs feel like joysticks, don't they? They just go through that. Yeah. Okay, great.
One other. One of many other things that we should talk about as well is the lever, actually. Uh-huh. When you look at it, you can see it's at an angle, and there is a good reason for that. The reason being is that if it was like that, it might be a little bit uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So they've tried to make it so that it's very ergonomic to use. Right. Now, majority of the patches, if I dial up one of the... So that's assigned to pitch, but what you're able to do is you can assign that to a whole number of parameters. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just pitch bend. It can be modulation, filter, or whatever it is that you want to be able to access via a lever. So this is quite a new. It's a brand new function feature for us.
So it's kind of like it can do the mod wheel function, or
it can do that. Yeah.
Function.
If you wanted to use both pitch and modulation, you could do things like set up the LFO so that you bring in the intensity. So you have got the flexibility to have several controls available at one time. Sure.
But I mean, it's so knobby anyway that you can. It's almost you can just grab hold of any control anyway. So
Now the other edit functions, there are some more in-depth ones. Mm-hmm. Now when you hit the edit mode, you get these buttons here lighting up. You've also got the choice of 3 options. There's program, edit, sequence, and global. So if I go into that first, this page here, you're determining the sound, the name of your patch or the sound. Mm-hmm. On this one here, you've got the pitch bend assignment, as I say. Yeah. So if I then, I think it's there. Sorry. So by dialing in the value there, you can set it to all of these. There's loads of different things. Now if you notice at the bottom there, you've got 3 dots. Mm-hmm. Now what that means is that there's 3 pages in this mode. So I press it again, I've got my note range. And I can set that to anything between 1 to 12. Mm-hmm. I press that again. I've got the negative, so I've got the plus and the minus, so I can get it to work in different directions. Yeah. Okay, if I then go onto this mode, the LFO, that can be synced to BPM tempo. You've got a key sync so that when you press a key down, all the LFOs, they re-trigger. Mm-hmm. So you can turn that on or off so that they're all working together. And then you've got a voice sync mode as well. Right. Next we've got the portamento time. we can set that to, that's a hidden function, so there isn't a dedicated control for portamento,
Right.
but it is in there.
Is that for all voice modes or?
It's all of them, yeah.
Right, okay.
So also we've got portamento mode, auto, or portamento BPM, so you can sync the portamento to that. Amp velocity, and then you've got an overall level control so that you can balance all of your programs
Sure.
if some are
Yeah.
louder than the others or quieter. You've got an init voice function, so if you can either dial it in if you've got a blank one, or you can just literally go to that and then instantly, and then there's a program dump, so you can dump it out via MIDI.
Oh, okay, great. Sure.
Save everything. Okay, if I come out of that, and then in sequence mode, you've got the BPM, the step length, the resolution. So you can have it either 16 steps or very basic.
Great.
Force one step. Okay, so if we now look at the sequence edit mode, first page we've got the BPM, which is fairly obvious. The step length, which can be set from 1 to 16 steps. What that can do is if you've got a sequence that's playing, that's been set into sequence steps on the fly, you can change that. You've got the resolution, there's also a swing function, and then you've got a gate time.
Okay, great.
You can clear the sequence, or you've got a motion clear. Now what that means is it's the same motion sequence as you find on some of the Volcas and the Electribes. So within this, you can record control movements, and that can be up to.
So you could record filter sweeps into the sequence or whatever you like there, really. Yeah,
you've got up to 4 motions, and when you go onto this 4th button here, what it will do is if there are motions recorded into the sequence, it will list them and it will give you an abbreviated description of it. So it's quite nice to be able to see
exactly what's going on. Yeah,
exactly what is happening. And then you've got enable, so you can switch them in and out. And then you've got a smooth control, so you can make the movements more smooth rather than sharp.
Great.
Okay, if I come out of that,
so can we switch them? The sequences, the motion sequences, can they be switched in and out independently?
They can be switched in and off. Yeah. So
that's brilliant, isn't it? So you can really sort of, so for live use, you could really well build up a piece by just having a loop going around in the sequencer, and then adding the filter sweeps. And
you can do that as well as
adding the
in
sync.
real time, do stuff like that. And I think the motion stuff is great if it's something that's built-in, that's regular. But if you're wanting to make it evolve, you would be doing a lot more than that, I think.
Because it's really knobby as well. So.
Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, we've got global mode, where you've got things like tuning, transpose, the way the controls behave, whether they jump or whether they
catch
up.
Got there? We've got pick up and
jump, catch and scale.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and then audio in. You've got an audio input.
I didn't see that. Great.
So you can, as it says, put an audio in and then process it through the sound engine.
And that's routed straight into the filter.
Yeah.
Presumably, yeah.
And then you key it or gate it using the keyboard.
Okay, sure, great.
What else we got? We've got a local switch, so that's like on and off.
Control here.
Velocity curve. You've got 4 different velocity curves to suit the playing style. Sync in. MIDI channel. Clock source. So you've got in the clock source you've got USB, MIDI, internal. So you can clock it internally, externally, etc.
Sure, yeah. Because it will receive MIDI over USB, won't it?
And that's another good point actually. All of these will transmit over MIDI.
Oh, they will. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you can automate things. You can build your own scripts and so on in your DAW, so that you can
There's the
control.
potential for a software editor at some point.
Absolutely. Although I don't know why you'd want a piece of software when you've got
yes,
hands on.
That's true.
Unless it's on the other side of the room, of course.
Yeah.
And then we've got an oscilloscope mode, as you've seen quite a bit throughout. You can disable that if that doesn't float your boat, but I think it's one of those.
So what would you see apart from the oscilloscope if you turn it off?
If you turned it off,
the null value,
it will just show you the last parameter that you've changed.
Okay, sure. Right.
And then you've got a brightness control, auto power off as we have to comply with ERP and so on. And then there's a data dump function, or a MIDI dump function. And that's basically the editing that you've got. There's also a few hidden functions. One of them, which I showed earlier, was the tuning. So with it being an analog synth engine, you do have to, well, you don't have to, but there are scenarios where you've got changes in environment. So if you've brought it in from a cold room into a warm room, it can have an effect on it. So if it does need it, that functions there. There's also a thing called load panel. So you hold shift and play, and what it will do is it will read the position of the controls as they currently are, and then it will play it. So you don't have to sort of go through tweaking everything as you may have done on.
So that's your like manual control mode,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. So the construction of the Minilogue, we've got a brushed aluminium panel, so it feels nice and solid. All of the potentiometers have got metal shafts, and they are bolted down to a sub-assembly, so it feels really sturdy. We've got a real wood back panel, which is, I think, the very nice organic aspect that they've added to it.
Yeah, very nice.
It's not overweighty, but it does feel like it's got a good weight to it, so it does feel like a really robust, solid product.
Right.
The keyboard is the slim keys that we have on the Odyssey and the MS-20 Mini. They're 86% size, velocity sensing. Yeah, I think that kind of covers that, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure, great. Okay, great. Well, thanks, Ian. Should we have a listen to some of the sounds?
Yeah, I think probably the best way to do that is if I start the sequencer rolling, and then we can make a few...
Tweak away. Okay, great. So for full voice polyphonic, fully polyphonic VCO synth, how much people are going to expect to pay for this?
Well, that's the great thing about this. This is very affordable, and we are looking at this being available for £435.
Wow. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think for the construction and for the for the fact that you can process things into it and everything, you're getting a lot of definitely a lot of functionality.
There is a lot of synth
features
for your money.
Yeah.
Definitely, you like you say, the construction is very solid. It feels good. It sounds exceptional. We think it's going to be a real winner for us.
Sure. And a great studio tool because you can store presets, of course. Right, a lot of the other synths out there that are kind of in this same sort of vein just don't have the ability to store presets.
That's right.
That's right. Which just gives you the ability to you go back into the studio, you've got the song you've been working on, you bring up the preset, you just
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with synth programming, you've got immediate sounds available, so you don't need to know about synth. It's something that you can learn as you go, sort of thing.
Great. Okay, great. Thanks, Ian. Thanks for bringing in the synth. Really great to have a lot of fun playing with it, and nice to talk to you about it. So keep an eye on the Andertons website there, andertons.co.uk, to see when it comes in with us, and we'll see you next time on Andertons TV. Thanks.
Thank you.